So. Hey, Jared, can you hear me?
I can. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm gonna nudge our volume down a little bit. That was a booming voice from the monitor.
Yes, I can also whisper.
Oh no, not you. Be you. We'll adapt. I was just saying. So Heather Jones. There's Kevin. Heather Jones is out tonight.
Okay.
Shannon Eilis is out sick. Shannon Knight is not feeling well, but remoting in. So we're gonna need Russell. You might have. Yeah, and I will point out, Kevin, Counselor Bonington, about 2 hours ago was saying how we'd have a quorum, no problem.
No, I would say we haven't had 2 meetings in a row.
I know.
I know.
But you know, as an elected official, it's easy to blame you for everything that you're wrong. So, all right. I mean, welcome to America. Yeah, there it is.
I should know this, but how many open seats do we have right now?
So we actually have 1 open seat. Yeah,
Okay.
we have 6 on the committee. Wow, that was hard. I couldn't think of the word. And we have the standard is 7. So there's 7 total, and we have 1 open spot.
I will fix that.
Thank you.
If anyone has any suggestions, I'm open to them.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I see Victoria has joined us. It looks like she's mobile right now. Oh, you're on mute still.
There you go. I was trying to get there. Sorry, guys, but I'll take it from here.
No stress. You guys may remember Victoria runs the Chamber of Commerce here in West Linn. So she's joining us tonight, which is great. And
Thank you.
let's see, 6:01.
So I'll send a message to Russell. We need Russell to have a quorum, and we need, you said, somebody's out who may call in as well.
Yeah, we're going to need Shannon Knight to call in, which I'm sure she will.
Okay.
She said she's going to. And yeah, we're going to need Russell if available. Now, my goodness, he called in from where was he camping last time?
He was in Eastern Oregon. He was in Joseph, Oregon.
Yeah, while barbecuing, called in from 5 hours away. Yeah, it was impressive, actually.
I remember that guy in the background.
Dedication right there. Dedication.
Oh, Rebecca's coming.
Okay, but she's no, we'd like to have her here. I think so. Like to have her here.
So we just need 2 on there.
Yeah, we got to get 4 total.
Yeah. If they don't show up, what happens? Do we just say, see you guys later?
Yeah, pretty much. So how the charter is written is that any conversation we have when we don't have a quorum must be repeated at the next meeting.
Oh.
So it makes very little sense to have that conversation and then come back and have that conversation. Right?
Yeah.
So if we want to get technical.
These are recorded, right?
They are recorded, but we still have to have a quorum.
Yeah.
It's hard too. It's back to school. It's in the summer.
It is that
I hear a
transition,
lot of people
right?
getting sick too. Like I guess COVID's kind of going around again.
Well, my mother and father-in-law have both been really sick in Arizona.
No, I wasn't seeing anything. I felt like I was in your state as I talked about COVID. Sorry, didn't mean to hurt.
And like my father-in-law was in the hospital for a while.
Oh wow.
And then my mother-in-law caught it, and they're both at home like miserably sick for the last 2 weeks.
Oh.
And then they got tested and it wasn't COVID. What is this weird summer
Just
disease that you got that
yeah.
took you out?
Well,
Strange.
being sick when it's warm out.
Ugh.
That's terrible. Oh, so it's really not bad.
It's like 100.
Oh, it's only 115. Awesome. Yeah. It's a comfortable, it's a dry 115.
Yeah. Cool. I used to hate that stuff.
My father used, and my parents lived there, and my father ran a big building products place. And out in their yard, it's paved asphalt, the trucks drive over it, whatever. He called me one day and said, well, this is new. He was born and raised here. They'd only been there about a year. This is new, but the asphalt got so hot out in the yard that it melted it. It made like a swimming pool. It just collapsed. No one got hurt. No one was on it at the time, but
That's crazy.
it was that hot on the asphalt.
Tires kind of like fusing to it if
Yeah.
you leave it parked for too long.
Yeah, I know there's some days where they can't land planes because the tires would pop on the ground.
It's so hot.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it gets about 82 here. I'm like, oh, it's so hot. I'm
Yeah.
dying.
Meanwhile, we used to like bake cookies in our dashboard boards.
So when my mom was Parks and Rec, and I worked for Parks and Rec forever. When they moved to Phoenix, she worked for Tempe Parks and Rec, and she pulled up on her first day of work and was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I'm getting the front row." And then when she came out at night, realized why everyone parked in back in the shade because her
Yeah.
car was like 100 and some odd degrees on the inside. And she was like, "Oh, that's why everyone's parked way back there. Because that's where the shade is." So,
You don't miss that.
live and learn.
They live in paradise.
I'll take my seasons here any day.
Yeah.
I'm happy. All right, I do see a Shannon with an E, which is Shannon Knight. Sorry you're not feeling well, Mrs. Knight. We'll just assume
She probably did.
Yeah.
Although this room needs a technical makeover, which is apparently in process. Oh, is it right?
This is a tough one. When we do working group meetings, anyone who's down there is so far away on the screen.
Yeah.
It's impossible to see here. But you know what? At least we have these options. At least we can do some of this stuff.
It's pretty good.
Hey, Shannon. Nope.
Had
you're
it.
muted.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Sorry, I'm late.
I was gonna just because I'm a dad, I have to say like cheesy things. It's just ingrained in who I am now, mainly to embarrass my children here. But when you came on, I was gonna say, oh, you're a real sight for sport eyes. That's her business name is Sight for Sport Eyes. When you have to explain the joke, it's probably not a good joke.
I got it actually. I just didn't have a chance to chuckle.
I know. It's not my best. I'll come up with better.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't terrible. I've had worse. That's for sure. That much worse.
Someone accused me of taco yesterday, which, Trump always chickens out. And I was like, you mean the awesomest counselor, obviously. And apparently that was a good match.
Is it awesome?
No, a word. Does it need to be?
No, not really. Not a dad joke. So, not a dad jokes.
I am indeed the awesomest counselor, obviously.
We were in Sun River a couple weeks ago or whatever it was. I think I might as well do this. But we were in the village. This is my family and our daughter's 11, son's 13. And we're passing a group of people coming at us. It's a bigger group with the grandma and grandpa's up front. It's pretty thick grandpa, right? He's got this t-shirt on and it just says, dad jokes are how I, E-Y-E, roll, how I roll. And I look right, and I look at him like, you're killing that shirt. And I swear to God, my little 11-year-old baby girl next to me, she looks and sees it. She's like, and rolls her eyes, just instinctually rolls her eyes. And that whole group just could not. It was a really nice, quick moment of like shared dad joke situations. I was like, I need that shirt. That's like a Christmas gift waiting to happen.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a Father's Day present waiting for my husband
Right,
coming up here.
I scored for Father's Day a dad jokes book,
Nice.
a book of dad jokes, and they never cease to please the crowd for sure.
Yeah.
Mainly because I demand everyone laugh at jokes to them from my book. Oh, and there is Russell giving us a quorum. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I already had one put out the door, unfortunately.
I was in the
Happy
link
to-
that Lynn had sent out, and it was just said waiting for host to join.
Oh,
But I don't know what happened.
Well, you're here now.
and
And
that's
there we go.
It really is.
It
all that
is
matters.
actually what matters. That's right. Because you make 4. So, all right, Jared, it's all
We have a
yours.
quorum.
Yes.
All right, it's 6:09, and we can call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda today. Do we have any public comment today? I personally have not met Victoria. Hi, Victoria. I'm Jared. Nice to meet you. Do you have any comment today for the group or anything you'd like to say? Are you observing? Great. Welcome.
Yeah,
I think
and
we can roll right into the work plan then, Chris, if that's your agenda item.
Yeah, sure. So as you know, council has asked for us to come up with sort of work plans for the community advisory groups. And so we are going to discuss, actually these items will be at council on Monday. But what I would say is that if we want to make revisions or tweaks to what we're about to talk about, Councilor Bonington can make those sort of on the fly adjustments in the session on additions or changes or whatnot. So the first thing, okay, so let's back up. I believe that this work plan is, we think, talking to Councilor Bonington today, through December of this year.
Is what I believe, because the original work plans for advisory groups came up in January at a retreat. So I assume the idea was to get them out and probably do this earlier, but then come back and revisit them at each retreat going forward. Okay, so I couldn't see us necessarily digging into them in the summer or anything.
Right.
Or again right now.
So having said that, that gives us 3 to 4 months to do anything with what we're about to talk about. So it needs to be a fairly easy is the wrong word. It can't be too deep because we're just going to simply run out of time, right? Or I guess we could carry it forward. But the first thing on the list is simply to revisit our Economic Development Committee kind of vision statement and make any adjustments and edits to what we think it should, how we think it should read. I actually don't know the last time that it was edited or changed. So I think that's a nice first easy step for us as a group to kind of get into. So let's just stop with that for a minute. In fact, I should have pulled that up on screen for you, huh?
I didn't know we had one.
Well, that's the thing. Sorry guys, I'm gonna pull this up on the web real quick.
Not in that place.
Nope, that's not gonna work.
I will say that I think we can be kind of freeform with this. There's not necessarily like a required framework of what this needs to be or when it needs to be. And if we have an idea that works and makes more sense for us, I don't think that'll be an issue.
Right. Agreed. There we are.
Hey, that's my email.
So we have let's see, I should do a share screen here. I'm going to share screen. Why is it saying it? Oh, there we go. I want this. All right. Yeah. All right. So this is what's on the website right now. We have this purpose statement. It's about as close to sort of a vision, if you will, or purpose statement, vision statement. So what I would say is we don't need to go over this now. We're just basically here to sort of agree or disagree on this being something that we could tackle or want to tackle. So I just wanted to highlight where it's at for people to take a look at over the next couple of weeks. And what I was thinking is, Stop sharing for a minute. What I was thinking is that I could send out to the group, send that out in sort of a Word doc form, and we could all kind of put our thoughts into it throughout before the next meeting. So we could have a fairly robust conversation about it in 1 month, if people were open to that idea.
Does anyone have ideas now?
Well, I mean, we could go through it now, but my experience when you get a group of people together to edit something is it is never a very quick process or clean. So I'd be more willing to, or we can do it however you want. But I think it might be more effective to just have everyone take a minute to write down their thoughts, and I can compile them to bring forward to the next meeting. So that's the first thing on the list. The second part is to partner with the Chamber of Commerce, Victoria, to participate in some research to determine programs that will help support existing businesses and bring additional businesses to West Linn. I think it would be great to utilize the expertise that Victoria has as the chamber. And honestly, I think I've been remiss. I don't think it has to be just Victoria. I think it could also be Rebecca out of Main Street or anyone else who is interested in helping us research programs that will help retain our current and existing businesses, as well as to bring additional businesses into West Linn. So that's the second part of our work plan. Thoughts, outrageous comments? I've heard that door.
On the first topic, I think I can't tell. Sometimes I am excited. I'm going to be in. Excited might be the wrong word, but I'm going to be in the room next meeting, and therefore my schedule's changed, so I don't have to do this virtually anymore, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, it makes it a little easier, doesn't it?
And I can hear. But I love the idea of collecting data in advance of the meeting so we can have a robust conversation about it. I'd like to throw out a few questions that we can ask and gather more in a survey format, because I would like to know. I think it makes sense to also understand, not just what we think the vision could be, but what personally the members of the EDC think what their capabilities are on, as it relates to the vision, as it relates to, what you're asking about in a potential partnership or a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, and what we maybe what some of these volunteers want to do, and what the time commitment they have available to them. It's fair for someone to say, I don't have time to do anything outside of this meeting. It's also would be reasonable that someone might say, I have a couple hours a month I could dedicate to a project. All those answers are reasonable, and I would like to know, I think, that. So I think it would make sense today during this time we have to dial in what questions we want to ask, and what information we want for the meeting next time. And I'm as a rookie to this, I'm hoping to get more clarification on what a relationship with the Chamber of Commerce would be, what we'd actually be looking for as it relates to bringing in more businesses. Like, what kind of businesses, and how can we really impact that, and more direction, I think. Which it's great that she's here in the meeting, because maybe she could speak to that a little bit. Like, what are we hoping that happens in West Linn? I'd love to know more about that side of things.
Okay, I can tell you a little bit. Mostly, I'm here, one, to be able to contribute, but two, to kind of find out what the EDC does. I know in a lot of cities, the EDC typically brings the ideas to the commission, or to, as you guys call it, your council. And then there's some work that the city does. There's some work that the partners do. So that's kind of the interest that I have. I've been speaking to Steve, and I've mentioned that, yes, this is the time for us to do recruitment. It sounds like there's not a lot of open space, but there are buildings that already have the infrastructure and possibilities there. So right now, as I mentioned to Steve, right now, it's great to do some recruiting from those folks that are in Portland who don't want to be there anymore. They're kind of like easy pickings at this point. But one of the things we'll need to do is take a look at the spaces, see what we truly have in regards to inventory before we start reaching out to recruit. So there's that piece there. We'll be also trying to figure out what in general we'll be able to do together with the city. Steve and I are going to work on a work plan for that, and then I'll be able to bring that to the committee and see where the pieces fit from the committee and then from the city into the chamber. Is that helpful?
Yeah, it's really helpful for me.
Yeah. Well, Jared, I like your concept of kind of figuring out what people's time availability is and interests and capabilities, because I think that's an important factor. Is not everyone's going to be able to give 10 hours to something in a month. So, I think that does come into play. So I appreciate that.
I've got a fun exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would be helpful if we just asked each of the members, when you agreed to do this and signed up for it, what did you think it would be?
Well, I kind of like the idea that like maybe we look at like what other cities do as far as when we creating the framework. Take a look at other cities and see if like does that resonate with us or not, and that kind of stuff to do. I mean, that's what I did when we did all the CCI bylaws, is looked at what other cities are doing locally.
Yeah, I guess I would say for me, kind of for what you said, when I signed up for this, I would like whatever we do here to be useful.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that means spending a couple of hours over the month prepping for this, so that when we show up here, we're actually affecting change or actually getting ideas out there. I feel like that's a better spend of my time than showing up here and not getting anything done.
Agreed. Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome.
Yeah, it seems like it all stems from the direction we get from this chamber, right? Or not the chamber, I'm sorry, from the council, and the work plan that we receive from the council. I like the idea of doing a little bit of research on some similar cities in the area and their EDCs and figuring out what their rules are. That would be helpful. Certainly would be a good exercise. And I do like the idea, I think Kevin said it, of us all talking about, maybe we do the survey and then we share it at the next meeting in more of a biographical format, and explain, what, and also explain why we're here and what we want to accomplish. I mentioned last time, it feels hard to know exactly how to attack things and what our capabilities are unless we all kind of lay that out. So that seems prudent. All that seems prudent.
I need to ask a clarifying question. So are we talking about, and I think Shannon, you mentioned it, and Jared, you just mentioned it, we're talking about researching other economic development committees in other jurisdictions? Because what council's asking for is the actual work plan. So we're not talking about changing the role of the EDC. But
Right.
Shannon, you guys kind of shifted the CCI and what the role of the CCI is. But the ask of us at this time has been to produce or propose a work plan to council that the EDC will then work on. So I just want to make sure I'm not getting confused or,
Well, I guess because when you talked about the purpose, like on the website, that, you know, that whole little purpose statement, I thought we were revising that.
yes, revising the statement, but that doesn't mean, oh, sorry, I just got a big pop-up on the screen, but not changing what it is. Do we want to rewrite it to be more accurate to what we are, but not changing what we do?
Well, I don't know how we do that when we don't understand who we are
Yeah, I think that's an important
and what
thing.
we're doing.
I think the initial order of operations makes sense. We need to get some more clarification. We need to figure out what all the committee members want to do, what their capabilities are, what time commitment they've got. We want to hear from everybody about why they're here in the first place. And until we do that, it's going to be hard to make a work plan that we can all actually sink our teeth into and do anything with.
And that's the person technically requesting the work plan. I have no problem with doing it right, as opposed to just doing it. This group is the reason we actually asked for these to be created. So it makes sense for us to do this in a way that we can actually live with and work with well.
Okay.
So if Monday is too soon, which I think it is, yeah, we can meet later.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'll make excuses.
Yeah.
You can blame me.
So if we have that conversation next, I'm just thinking out loud. If we have if we get the data, we have the conversation next meeting, and we spend 25 minutes of our agenda time on that, then we should be able. I would think from there we should be able to come up with work plan ideas, suggestions, ideas, and finalize something by the next meeting. That will take. I think it will require, though, the members outside of the meeting to once more communicate in a different way than a survey, but actively communicate over email and to come up with something that we can finalize in October. I'm sorry, in November. Does that timeline meet what the ask is on the work plan?
I think there'd also be a little concern about conducting a serial public meeting outside of a public meeting.
Right.
So that you're really kind of bound to the hour that we have every month to do the work as a group, and then individually do things potentially.
Can we instead today assign ourselves some work to do over the next month that we can bring back in and have?
Sure.
And then everyone who wasn't here get an email out of this is your homework.
Yeah. I think I want to know what do each of you members who signed up to do this, what did you want to do? What were you hoping to accomplish here? And then actually see how much we can make that reality.
Do you want to know that right now? You want to walk through that right now, or that's fine, right?
You want to?
Sure.
If you have any-
Yeah, you've asked twice, so I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I think for me, I came into the committee because I live here and frequent this area, and I've been on a micro level. I've been, I go to businesses and I do things, and I feel like there's a little. We're not quite. It's not it hasn't felt like an exciting place to work, for people. It's hard. I talked to a lot of friends that are business owners. They have a harder time getting people to work here. I'm not sure what the draw is for a business to pick West Linn over Oregon City or Lake Oswego, necessarily. I feel like there's I feel like some of those areas are a little sexier right now than West Linn is. West Linn isn't really a sexy area to have a business right now, in my opinion. And I don't mean to cause offense, by the way. That's just something I noticed. And that's what drew me here, is I'm like, man, we've got such a great opportunity. It's a great city. I live here for a reason. If there's any of my expertise or any of my attention or just energy that I can put into making it a little bit more attractive, and help reason out ways to do that, I'd like to try. And so originally that was why I was intrigued by it. It feels like there's an opportunity, but I can't name it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity. The origins of West Linn are all industrial and commercial, and it's funny that that reversed over the last century and a half to the point where we're the epitome of a bedroom community. But we have a number of really good existing businesses that I'd love to figure out how we can better support, while also dealing with the kind of unsustainable nature of not having a commercial and industrial base in this city. What is our vision for generating that? So where are we going, and how can we bring the people who are already established along and support them in the process?
Anybody else want to share their why before we move on?
Sure. So I moved to West Linn a couple of years ago, and I love it. I think it's the best place I've ever lived. And then some of you may know I went through a whole thing last year where it was like maybe our school was going to close down. And so then I started to get deeply involved in learning about the history of West Linn. And there's an amazing, rich history here, and I just sort of really fell in love with this place. But also knowing that part of the problem, what we were dealing with the schools, is that the entirety of the school district budget, the city budget, it's all on the backs of the people who live here because we don't have any businesses here. And so bringing businesses here could solve a lot of those problems. And I want to be a part of that. So I also happen to live in the Bolton area, so I'm really excited about the waterfront project. The Vision 43, like one of the focus areas is basically like the end of my street. So it's just it's something I would love to provide input on, be able to go to the people, my neighbors in my neighborhood, and kind of even gather their information and bring it back to this group so that everybody knows, what other people think in the area, because sometimes it's really hard to gather that information and get people to respond. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can go. I am a business owner, so part of my interest is, making sure that it stays a pleasant environment for businesses, and also support other small business owners. So how can we draw businesses here, keep businesses here, increase, the taxes from more of a business base, since we don't have one. And how to get people here to help support those businesses, because it's always, the businesses are not going to survive only on the people who live here with such a small community relatively. So you need to bring people in with tourism and other kind of things, just to be able to maintain those businesses once you have them. So that's the kind of stuff that's important to me.
This building's haunted too.
I was gonna say.
We just got rid of a city.
Russell, do you want to add anything to that in case you can't hear very well? We're just going around and chatting through. Kevin had asked us about our why we're here.
Yeah, I can. So I actually joined years ago because I was renting from a REIT, and I just felt like the rents were too high, and I thought, how can I influence that macro level, try to get in front of an audience where we could create more supply to drive more business here. Selfishly, as a homeowner, I felt like we're missing out on a tax base. As a resident, we're missing out on the opportunity to have more services and things locally. And then as a business owner, I was trying to just drive more activity and access, really, just the supply and demand. Like we don't have a lot of capacity, if you will, for businesses. So I was trying to, that was my why I joined it. Being here, I've been able to make suggestions, like Highway 43 project was a big uh, project that I was excited to be a part of or mention, get it on the radar. Food carts, I was part of that conversation, and the waterfront project, all that stuff. It's just, that's why I stay here.
And thanks, Russell. And
Well,
someone mentioned, go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I'll-
kind of in line with what I thought for each of you. I just didn't want to necessarily assume it. So I guess from there, the question is, how do we create something that is in line with all of those goals, those desires? How can we actually influence those things everyone mentioned?
Great question.
It is a great question. I think that's
And that's
also,
why
gonna say that's probably
no,
why
I'm
Shannon
sorry.
brought that up. And she's like, it'd be nice to ask another committee too. How do we do? How are we most effective? What's effective? In that. But I won't speak for you, Shannon.
Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, that's why I think maybe our work plan should be figuring out what our, like I don't think EDC has any bylaws or anything like that, like we had to do for CCI, but maybe they need some kind of, this is what we are, this is what we do, just even for the being able to advertise this out to committee members to get people to join the committee, and having a clear idea of what the whole purpose of the committee is seems like an important thing to do, because I think that's what's been lost in the last couple of years. Is there, we were supposed to just be business support, and it changed from what everything was before, and so I think it just needs to be looked at, like what is the focus of EDC.
Would it be fair to fill out the survey, come back to the next meeting with the question Kevin posed, all of us respond to and talk through? And I was soberly reminded that we can't meet outside of the meeting. Luckily, it's not my job. I would never claim to be an administrative professional, but yeah, that should be enough. That would be enough time for us to, probably come up with, the basics of a work plan by the next meeting, and share on that.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And it is a strange adjustment to not be able to hit reply all in emails, believe me. But yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. So
Right.
Yeah, I think that was good background from each of us, and I'd love to hear it from the other two as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the component of what were you hoping to work on? I think we can distill it into something from there. And if there are any hurdles to overcome with council adopting that, I'll work on that end. But I think that's where we get some value out of this group.
So what is it that you would like on this survey?
It's certainly open to all interpretation. I think the minimum I would like to know is time commitment on research and different things. Keep strengths. It's almost like a resume, but skills that are related to the committee and the work that we could be doing with the council. Influence, I think, is really important. What centers of influence are we a part of?
If I could make one maybe minor suggestion or tweak to the direction you're heading, is I would maybe recommend not necessarily building the committee based on what the individual membership is currently, but rather be thinking in those similar terms, but like as an evergreen committee, like what are you going to continue on doing as people may come or go? But I like the direction.
I see them. Yeah, I see the importance of both, right? Of that for sure. Is if we were to build the committee from scratch, what would we be looking for, right? And it could start with the hunt for the next member. We have an open spot. What do we want? What do we need? This will help us also identify maybe what we're looking for there. That's great. Steve, do you have any thoughts on other ways we could pose that in this survey that would get us some of that information? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, I think I was looking back at listening to some of the things that I just heard folks go around and say, and then looking at the original purpose statement that's on the web. I don't know that we're that far off.
Right.
And so I think maybe my framing would be like thinking about your own individual experiences and thinking about the purpose statement, like where do you see there being like gaps or needs in the committee? And so that kind of combines both where I appreciate you talking about like each of you have an individual lens as far as how you came to the committee and how you see things, but thinking about that kind of broader group cohesive piece.
From a council perspective, I think this group could be extremely useful in identifying opportunities that we're not exploring or don't know about or haven't implemented as a city. We're making some changes to how liaisons report back what happens in these types of meetings. So if there were a discussion about something along those lines, happy to then bring it back to everyone else and see where that goes at a council level. But there's a lot of options and directions this can go in.
That's helpful.
Just to add to that, my experience as a new person is like, you guys should all be giving Kevin a round of applause for that, because that's awesome to have that kind of support.
Thanks, Kevin.
Not to.
I mean, it's great to get that feedback too. I mean, the direction there. I think that's something that I've been looking for. I've only been here for a few months, but what do you want? Like, we could sit here and come up with what we want to do all day, but ultimately, what do you want to take back to the council, right? And I appreciate the clarity today on ideas, business ideas. And we could probably be pretty succinct in our vision about just, generating, what's the goal? The goal is to what? Make this, whatever we decide, make this more appealing for businesses, right? In general, or everyone bring an idea every meeting and we talk through it. But back to this, Chris, back to the survey and the questions we want to ask. Do you have thoughts, Chris, on just what a simple, now that you've heard a lot of different thoughts, do you have thoughts on what that might look like?
No, I can put something together with what you've said. I can send it over to you, Jared, as the chair. You can edit and add to it. But the reality of it is, this is your committee. I'm just here to sort of be the link to it. Whether it's Steve or myself giving you some of the internal guidance that we need, like you can't have a meeting online without notifying the public and whatnot. So
you can still communicate with each of us and myself and staff. You just can't say, so I was just talking to Chris and he told me.
So yeah, I mean, if this is the direction, that's let's do it. Let's go. Happy to put that stuff together and send it over to you in draft form.
Okay.
So next couple of weeks.
I think that's where we get the value out of this group, because ultimately, what attracted me to being the liaison of this group is that council is not comprised generally of people who are actively working. But I am the only one of you on council, the only small business owner myself who works here and lives here. So I get it.
So would you prefer that we just leave the purpose statement alone for now? Focus our efforts on the survey? I mean, Steve and I will need to pull the agenda item off Monday, which can be done, that's fine, and postpone that.
Was it just the statement, or we needed like a work plan that was supposed to go on Monday, right?
No, it's just an agreement that that was going to be the work plan.
Ah,
So if that's not going to be the work plan, we won't put it in front of council to approve.
Gotcha.
What if our work plan, which we could actually approve Monday, maybe it's too quickly, but our work plan is to figure out what everyone, what these opportunities are, since we're only gonna have like 2-3 meetings before.
Yeah, so I think the only issue there might be that, this is, the language is in the packet and it's been, I don't know that you could change that on the fly, trying to approve it.
Oh, yes.
There are a couple more pieces to the work plan. Is that right? A couple more items that we're going to go through, or
No,
just
that's it.
those two?
Those two.
I mean, it could be that you keep the first two, the revisit the EDC vision statement, partner with the chamber, and we'll name it. Sorry, the whole name. Thank you. I'm going to get it eventually, Rebecca. I apologize. To participate in a research opportunity. And then I think it's like to some sort of like, almost like a SWOT analysis of the group itself, like as a third action item, to like inform whatever you want to say, like to inform or guide the group into the future, something like that. I mean, maybe that keeps it so that you can keep the momentum going, and then you can use the next meeting to dive into these things rather than having to delay it. That's an idea, though. I don't know if that's like, and propose it just as a friendly amendment at council where we're doing like that we want to just propose an additional piece to the work plan.
Yeah, so we'll need to, because it's not me, it's Dylan. So we'll need to get Dylan.
Yeah.
To go with the language to Dylan, explain to him the process and how it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Or an alternative, and maybe we can talk with you, Kevin, offline, is whether or not that could be a council suggestion as the liaison.
Yeah, like and an add-in would be fine too.
Yeah, it's added as a friendly.
100%. Yeah.
That
actually might be the more effective approach.
Right. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, if you were to, yeah.
So we can.
You want me to say it?
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
I mean, we can give you the talking supply of the talking points, but just have it that way, so then we don't have to. It's not as much back end work of having to walk through all of that. And I think that my recommendation there would be, we've talked through this now, and that you all like come to some sort of consensus and make a vote on that specifically. If that's the direction you want to go.
Okay, so you're recommending a vote on the SWOT analysis piece, or just adding that component in?
Yeah, and that you would move forward with the work plan otherwise as written for council consideration on, is it Monday the 8th?
Mm-hmm.
The alternative would be that, I mean, I think Chris is happy to like table this discussion and continue it on to the next meeting, but I think that the advantage of doing the slight amendment and having it go through on Monday is that then the next month's meeting could be spent on like just diving into the work. I think that is potentially more efficient use of time. the con is that like we're kind of just coming up with this on the fly, and so maybe that's not enough time to consider it. And so I don't want anyone to feel like we're rushing through this either. I want everyone to feel good about what we're doing. And I think you mentioned that earlier, that we don't want to rush anything just for the sake of staying on kind of a schedule that was already in place.
Yeah. This brilliant individual who's working on a Highway 43 vision plan said it's important to do things right quickly. And
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but I also think if this work plan is also only for the end of the year, the more you delay it, then it's at the end of the year.
well, it'll be the framework for the next year.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
Good point.
Like the park board is going to continue to do very similar things to what they do year to year.
Okay. Does anybody not know, we're talking about a SWOT analysis. Steve brought that up. Does anybody not know what a SWOT analysis is? It would not be too embarrassed. It's okay if you don't. It's just, okay.
There's no whiteboard. I can't do that.
No. Can you draw the quadrants for us, Kevin?
Please.
All right, I just want to make sure I'm clear. On our role here today would be to move that item, a SWOT analysis, to our next meeting, and then we can vote on that today. That would be the topic of our next meeting. I can move that item to vote. I'll call it.
Well, I think if I understood it correctly, that adding the SWOT analysis kind of thing to the work plan that council is being presented to council on Monday was the thing. And then if it's added to a work plan, it could be on the agenda for next meeting. But isn't that what we were essentially trying to make that part of what council approves? Or did I misunderstand that?
Yeah,
that's
I think that was
yeah.
the intention, is that it would be added to the plan. I mean, I think maybe we were getting a little bit out of our skis, to your point, that I think we're presuming that council would accept that, and that then at the next meeting we would discuss it. Right. So obviously you're right that we're pending council's acceptance of that point, and so that's a fair clarification, Shannon.
Okay, thanks.
We almost didn't have a quorum. We almost wouldn't have even gotten this far, and we would have had really no choice. I also think it's important that we hear from the other two members in some form. And while I can't actually predict the future or speak for my council colleagues, I'm pretty sure no one's going to have an issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd also just emphasize, in like working across some of the other CAGs with their work plans, is that like the intent is just to get this off the ground. And so I also would maybe just emphasize not, letting perfect get in the way of good enough, just so we get going. And I'd also emphasize, and I don't want to step on your toes here, Chris, but like if the group finds something that is within the scope of the group and that can be accomplished and is not on the work plan, there's nothing stopping the group from going ahead and participating in that activity. Am I correct there?
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that point is also noted.
I hear it and agree, and I think that the activity of just getting into it next meeting would be really helpful for us to just get somewhere. To your point.
So the thing that we would pass on Monday does not necessarily require us to work on it. It doesn't like give us an assignment that this group is then going to have to work on and then come back around with. So we can pass this and then just get into this the same way at the next meeting after a survey, and then go from there. If council then needs a recommendation on something economic related, we'll ask for it.
Yeah, and that's actually a fair point, is that there's nothing that says we can't, some sort of work plan, some generalized work plan is approved. As you move through that process, you expand or track some of what you're doing. Expansion into a SWOT analysis of what we've talked about would be a perfectly normal trajectory for something like that to happen. So yeah, I mean, it may not even require any adjustments for Kevin in this section. I'm kind of looking at you, right?
I mean, I still think
This is so
I think it's good to put it on the plan. Like, I think my opinion is there's value in it, in that it communicates to council, like, and provides that connection to them so that the council knows what is important to the group and knows what the group wants to work on. The same way that if the group was doing something else, I think, in reporting kind of, this is the work plan, this is what we did, we'd also want to report on things that were not necessarily on the work plan but got accomplished, so that you have that communication piece.
All right, so where do we stand? It's 6:55.
All right.
We had a vote and a second on the table. So
All right,
Yeah, we have a vote in a second. Thanks, Kevin.
Shall I call the vote?
Please.
All right.
how about all in favor?
Yeah, I guess we could do it that way. I mean, should we go individually? Yeah, especially because everyone's going to be in favor. Is everyone? Yeah, can I get a raised hand for everyone that's of the 4 members that are in favor of the motion on the table? Russell has raised a hand.
All right, motion
passes. Let's see. And I assume Jared as well. All right, there we go. Motion passes. All right.
I have a really annoying way of doing that at Sunset and Amy. Does anyone disagree?
Really call them out if they do. Okay.
And I'll await the draft. We'll get that sent out, and we've got, I think, a really interesting agenda for next time for sure.
Yeah, I think this will be great because we didn't want to get in a position where we still didn't have anything to work on, but
Right.
we want to do this correctly while also turning in the assignment. So this allows us to not get in the same position that started all of this in the first place.
Good.
Any items of interest from any of the members that are here before we break?
Nothing.
Staff announcements?
I do not have any announcements today. Nothing too exciting. I will say from the land use perspective, that has economic impact. We have a proposed food cart not far from Shannon's business, actually on the same property, I believe. That application at 11th and Willamette Falls Drive is incomplete right now. So the applicant has 180 days, or what's down to probably 160 days, to get us the information needed to move forward in that process. Another one of interest and ire is the old McDonald's site. We have an application for a new Katie car wash that also is incomplete as of yesterday. So they have roughly 178 days to get us the information needed to move that application forward. So those both have some sort of economic value, obviously. So thought I'd start trying to update some of those land use related economic things for you. I don't think we have any other. What's another one?
Well, I heard a bunch of folks mention their interaction with the waterfront plan, and so the waterfront plan is going before Planning Commission on Wednesday, September 17th, for their recommendation to City Council.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And council, this was scheduled for the 30th, but it's going to be moved to either the 8th or the 15th of October. We are going to be comprehensively analyzing our city's economic needs from the budget perspective, projects that we'd like to do, things that we can't put off, what is needed around here. And then I've always maintained from the very day this was all created that this needs to be a comprehensive analysis of all the revenue possibilities, not just something that gets referred to voters as a levy or a bond. So we'll be going through all of the possibilities for how to fund things and how to make things work in a sustainable way around here. And that process will begin at that.
And then one last land use item is there's a pre-application conference on September 18th for a potential both commercial and housing development at Blankenship and Tandler Drive. So across from Savannah Oaks, across from Park Rose Hardware, that undeveloped property next to the business center. So that is going into a pre-app for something in the future. So there you go.
Thanks, gentlemen.
That's all we have.
Well, it's 6:59. Our agenda is complete.
Okay,
So I see we can safely adjourn this meeting.
great. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great night. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Thank you.
Bye.